Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UNS Horizon, looking out at the endless stars. The ship had been traveling through deep space for 3 weeks now, mapping new star systems and looking for planets that might help humanity expand. Across the galaxy, Jake was tired, but he loved this work. Every day brought something new. "Captain, we're getting something strange on the sensors," said Ben Carter from his seat at the navigation console. Ben was young, maybe 25, with quick hands and sharp eyes. He had been with the crew for 2 years and never missed anything important. Jake walked over to look at Ben's screen. "What kind of strange?" "It's a signal, but it's really weak. Almost like someone is whispering from very far away. And the frequency is weird. It's so low that our computers almost missed it." Lisa Rodriguez looked up from her engineering station. Lisa was the best engineer Jake had ever worked with. She could fix anything and build whatever the ship needed. "I can boost the signal if you want to hear it better," she said. "Do it," Jake said. Lisa's fingers moved quickly over her controls. The bridge filled with a sound that was more felt than heard. It was like a deep humming that made the walls vibrate. But there was something else in the sound, something that made Jake think of someone crying for help. "That's not natural," said Dr. Amy Watson from the medical station. Amy was quiet most of the time, but she noticed things others missed. "That sound has patterns. Someone is trying to talk to us." Jake felt his heart beat faster. First contact with a new alien species was every space captain's dream and nightmare. It could mean wonderful new friendships or terrible new enemies. "Ben, can you find where it's coming from?" "Already on it, Captain. The signal is coming from about 2 light hours away. There's something out there, but it's not moving much." "Set course for the signal," Jake ordered. "But keep us ready to run if we need to." The UN's horizon turned toward the mysterious signal. The ship was not the biggest in the human fleet, but it was fast and strong. It had been built for long trips into unknown space, with extra supplies and weapons for whatever they might find out. As they got closer, their sensors started picking up more details. "Captain, I'm seeing something really strange," Ben said. "There's a ship out there, but it looks like it's made of glass or crystal, and it's beautiful." Jake looked at the main screen as the image became clear. The alien ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. It looked like someone had grown a ship instead of building it. The hull was clear in some places and colored like a rainbow in others. It was about the same size as the horizon, but it looked fragile, like it might break if you touched it wrong. "The ship is drifting," Ben reported. "No power that I can see. And there are cracks in the hull. Big ones." "Are there life signs?" Jake asked. Dr. Watson checked her sensors. "Yes, but they're very weak. Whatever is alive in there is barely hanging on." Lisa studied the readings from her station. "Captain, that ship is falling apart. The hull is cracked in at least 30 places. I don't know how it's still holding together." Jake made his decision. "Open a channel. All frequencies." "Channel open," Ben said. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship UN's Horizon. We received your distress signal. Do you need help?" The response came as that same deep humming sound, but now it was clearly trying to be words. The problem was that no human could understand what it meant. "Amy, can you make sense of that?" Jake asked. Dr. Watson had been listening carefully. "I think they're trying to talk, but the sound is too low for us to hear properly. Let me try something." She worked at her console for a few minutes. "There. I've shifted the frequency up so we can hear it better." The humming sound changed, becoming higher and clearer. Now they could hear what sounded like words, but in a language none of them knew. "Computer, run translation protocols," Jake said. "Translation protocols running," the computer's voice answered. "Estimated time to basic translation, 4 hours." "We don't have 4 hours," Jake said, looking at the dying ship on the screen. Amy, see if you can figure out how to talk to them. Lisa, scan their ship and tell me what's wrong with it. Ben, keep us close, but not too close. The next hour was the longest of Jake's life. Dr. Watson worked on communication while Lisa tried to understand the alien ship's problems. Finally, Amy made a breakthrough. I think I can talk to them, she said. They use very low sounds to communicate, and they also use vibrations through solid objects. I'm going to try sending a message through our hull. She sent a series of vibrations through the ship's metal walls. The response came immediately, clearer than before. We dying, the alien voice said through the ship's speakers. Ship broken. Cannot fix. Help please. Jake felt a chill. Tell them we want to help. Ask them what happened. Amy sent the message. The response was longer this time, and the computer was starting to translate more words. They call themselves Velethans, Amy reported. Their ship is damaged by what they call the burning void. I think they mean space itself is hurting them. That's impossible, Lisa said. Space is empty. Not to them, Amy said, listening to more of the alien message. Captain, I think these aliens are more fragile than anything we've ever seen. The vacuum of space is like poison to them. Even the tiny bits of dust and radiation that we don't notice are killing them. Jake looked at the beautiful dying ship on the screen. How is that possible? How did they get into space if space itself hurts them? I don't know, Amy said. But they're asking for help, and they're dying. What do we do? Jake thought about all the rules and regulations about first contact. He thought about the dangers of helping unknown aliens. Then he looked at the cracked crystal ship and made his choice. We help them, he said. Figure out how. Dr. Amy Watson had not slept in 18 hours. She sat at her medical station, trying to understand how the Velethans stayed alive. The information they had shared with her seemed impossible. How could any living thing be so fragile? Amy, you need to rest, Captain Morrison said, bringing her a cup of coffee. I can't rest, Jake. Look at these readings. Amy pointed to her screen, which showed strange charts and numbers. The Velethans need pressure around their bodies equal to being 1 mile underwater. They need air that would kill us in seconds, and any radiation stronger than candlelight will hurt them. Jake sat down beside her. How do they even exist? Their homeworld must be very different from Earth, Amy said. They told me they live in something called the Quiet Nebula. It's a place where thick gas clouds block out most starlight and cosmic radiation. The gas creates constant pressure around their world. Lisa Rodriguez looked up from her engineering console. She had been studying the Velethan ship for hours. Captain, I think I'm starting to understand their technology. Their ship isn't really built like ours. It's grown like a living thing. The hull is made of something that filters their environment and keeps them safe. What went wrong? Jake asked. Space dust, Lisa said. Tiny pieces of rock and metal that are floating everywhere in space. We have shields to push them away, but their ship absorbs everything. Over time, all that dust has damaged their hull. It's like their ship is slowly being poisoned. Ben Carter turned from his navigation station. Captain, I've been talking to them about where they come from. They showed me a star map. Their home system is about 40 light years from here, but there's a problem. What kind of problem? Jake asked. A star near their nebula is collapsing into a black hole. The gravity is pulling their protective gas clouds apart. In a few years, their whole world will be exposed to deadly radiation. Jake felt his stomach drop. You're saying their entire species is dying? Not just dying, Ben said. Going extinct. They sent out exploration ships to find new homes, but this is the only ship that made it out of their system. The others were destroyed by the radiation. Amy, turned back to her medical readings. Jake, they've been trying to contact other alien species for help. They sent messages to dozens of different civilizations. What did the other aliens say? Jake asked. Nothing good, Amy replied. Most species said the Velethins were too dangerous to help. Their biology is so different that just being near them could cause problems. Others said it was impossible to build the special environments they need to survive. Lisa stood up and walked to the main screen, which still showed the damaged Velethin ship. Captain, I think I know why other species won't help them. Look at what they need to survive. They need crushing pressure, toxic gases, and complete protection from radiation. To most aliens, that's like asking them to build a habitat inside a volcano. But we're not most aliens, Jake said slowly. We're humans. We come from Earth. That's right, Lisa said, her eyes getting bright with an idea. Earth is already a dangerous place compared to most worlds. We have radiation from space, poisonous atmosphere for many species, and weather that can kill. We're used to dealing with hostile environments. Amy looked up from her console. Lisa, what are you thinking? I'm thinking that materials which are deadly to other species might be perfectly safe for us to handle. We might be able to build what the Velethins need, because we're already adapted to survive in dangerous conditions. Jake felt excitement building in his chest. Show me what you mean. Lisa pulled up a design on her screen. Look at their ship's hull. It's made of biocrystalline material that processes their environment, but it's damaged by space, dust, and radiation. What if we could reinforce it with materials from our ship? Our ship materials would be toxic to most species, Amy said. The radiation shielding alone would kill many aliens. But not the Velethins, Lisa said. I've been analyzing their biology. They actually absorb certain types of radiation that would hurt us. Our reactor shielding, our waste processing materials, even our heavy metal components might actually help them. Jake stood up and started pacing. You're saying we could fix their ship by giving them our most dangerous materials? Exactly, Lisa said. Captain, we're from what other species call a death world. Our technology is built to handle things that would kill most aliens. The Velethins are so different that our dangerous materials might be exactly what they need. Amy was checking her medical data again. This could work. Their biology is designed to process heavy metals and absorb radiation. What kills other species might actually make them stronger. Ben turned his chair around to face them. Captain, I've been learning more about their journey. They've been traveling for 6 months, looking for a new home. They found 3 possible locations. Tell me, Jake said. The first is controlled by something called the hegemony. They're a group of alien species that have very strict rules about biological contamination. They won't let the Velethins pass through their space. What about the second location? Jake asked. Too close to a pulsar star. The radiation would kill them even with protection. And the third? Ben smiled. The third is a star system that most species avoid completely. It's filled with toxic gases, heavy metals, and radiation. Everyone calls it a death system. Lisa laughed. Let me guess. To the Velethins, it sounds like paradise. Exactly, Ben said. But there's a problem. To get there, they have to travel through hegemony space. The same aliens who won't let them pass through. Jake stopped pacing. What if we escorted them? We're human. We're not part of the hegemony. That could work, Amy said. But first we need to keep them alive long enough to make the trip. Their ship is failing fast. Jake looked at his crew. Amy, tired but determined. Lisa, already planning how to rebuild an alien ship with human materials. Ben, ready to navigate through unknown and dangerous space. They were all from Earth, all adapted to survive in conditions that would kill most other species. All right, Jake said. Here's what we're going to do. Lisa, Start transferring our most dangerous materials to their ship. Amy, keep monitoring their health and help them understand what we're doing. Ben, plot a course to their death system and figure out how to get through hegemony space. What about you, Captain? Lisa asked. Jake looked at the damaged crystal ship on the screen. I'm going to send a message to Earth Command. I need to tell them that we're about to escort a dying alien species through hostile space using materials that would be considered weapons by most civilizations. Do you think they'll approve? Amy asked. Jake smiled. I think they'll tell us to be careful and not to let an entire species go extinct on our watch. We're human. We don't abandon people who need help, even if they're not people like us. Even if it's dangerous? Ben asked. Especially if it's dangerous, Jake said. That's what we do best. The transfer of materials began at dawn, ship time. Lisa Rodriguez put on her environmental suit and prepared to do something that would terrify most aliens in the galaxy. She was going to handle radioactive materials in the vacuum of space. Lisa, are you sure about this? Captain Morrison asked over the radio. I'm sure, Jake. The Velethans need our reactor shielding to patch their hull. I've done this kind of work before. Lisa floated between the two ships, carrying sheets of lead and other heavy metals that were toxic to most life forms. What amazed her was how the Velethan ship responded to the human materials. As soon as she placed the first sheet of lead against a crack in their crystal hull, the ship began to absorb it. The biocrystalline material grew around the metal, incorporating it into the ship's structure. It's working, Lisa reported. Their ship is actually eating our materials and using them to heal itself. Dr. Amy Watson watched the process from the medical station. The Velethans are getting stronger too. Their life signs are improving as their ship absorbs materials. How is that possible? Jake asked. Remember, they're from a world where heavy metals and radiation are normal, Amy said. What we consider dangerous waste materials are actually nutrients to them. Ben Carter was monitoring the space around both ships. Captain, we're getting company. 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're scanning us. Jake looked at the main screen. 3 sleek ships had appeared nearby, their hulls painted with symbols he didn't recognize. Open a channel, Ben. Channel. Open, Captain. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Horizon. Please identify yourselves. The response came in perfect English, but the voice was cold and mechanical. This is Hegemony Patrol Vessel Designation 7742. You are in violation of biological contamination protocols. Prepare to be boarded. Jake felt his heart sink. What? Protocols? We're in neutral space. You are harboring a Class X biological hazard. The crystal ship you're assisting contains organisms too dangerous to exist in civilized space. You will surrender the contaminated vessel for disposal. Disposal? Jake said. There are living beings on that ship. They're not contaminated. They're refugees. Irrelevant. Velethan biology presents an unacceptable risk to all other life forms. This is your final warning. Stand down or be destroyed. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was still outside, working to save the Velethan ship. Amy was monitoring the alien's health. Ben was ready to run if needed. They all looked at him, waiting for his decision. Ben, plot a course to the Velethan's target system. Best possible speed. That means going through hegemony space, Captain. I know what it means. Amy, tell the Velethans to hold on. Lisa, get back inside. We're about to run. Captain Morrison, the hegemony voice said, you are making a serious mistake. No one opposes the hegemony. Today someone does, Jake said. Ben, punch it. The Horizon leaped forward, its engines blazing. The Velethan ship, still connected to the human vessel by transfer cables, was pulled along. Behind them, The hegemony. Ships gave chase. They're faster than us, Ben reported. And they're armed with weapons I don't recognize. What about the Velethans? Jake asked. Can their ship keep up? It's getting stronger, Lisa said, back at her station. The materials we transferred are helping it heal, but it's still fragile. The first hegemony weapon struck the Horizon's shields, sending sparks across the bridge. Jake was thrown against his chair, but he stayed upright. Shields down to 70%, Lisa reported. But that's not our biggest problem. What's the biggest problem? Jake asked. They're not trying to destroy us. They're using some kind of biological weapon. It's designed to kill most life forms without damaging the ship. Amy checked her sensors. I'm detecting airborne toxins in the ship's atmosphere. It's something that attacks the nervous system of most species. Jake felt a slight tingling in his hands, but nothing more. How do you feel, Amy? A little dizzy. But okay. You? Fine, Lisa? I feel great. Whatever they're using, it's not working on us. Ben laughed from his seat. Captain, I think they just made a mistake. They're trying to kill us with something that might bother a human for about 5 minutes. Jake smiled. Earth biology for the win. Ben, take us into that asteroid field ahead. Let's see how well they can follow us through some real obstacles. The asteroid field was a maze of floating rocks, some as big as cities. Most ships had to move slowly through such fields, using careful navigation to avoid collisions. The hegemony ships immediately slowed down, their sensors working overtime to plot safe courses. The UNS Horizon, designed for exploration of dangerous space, flew through the asteroids like they were standing still. Ben's hands danced over the controls, threading the ship between rocks that would have crushed most vessels. How are they doing that? Came a confused voice from the hegemony ships. There. From a death world, Jake said over the open channel. We're used to dangerous navigation. The Velethan ship was actually getting stronger as they flew through the asteroid field. The space dust and radiation that made the area dangerous to most ships was feeding their healing process. Captain, Amy said, the Velethans are trying to tell us something. They say there's a way out of the asteroid field that the hegemony ships can't follow. What kind of way? Jake asked. A passage through the center of the field. It's full of radiation and debris that would kill most crews, but they think we can survive it. Jake looked at the tactical display. The hegemony ships were still following, but they were having trouble keeping up. If the humans could get through a passage that the hegemony couldn't follow, they might escape. Show me, Jake said. The passage appeared on the main screen. It was a narrow corridor between two massive asteroids, filled with glowing gas and floating debris. The radiation levels were off the charts. Most species would die in minutes in there, Amy reported. But our radiation shielding should protect. Yes. What about the Velethans? Jake asked. They're practically cheering. That level of radiation is like sunlight to them. Do it, Ben. Take us through. The UNS Horizon entered the deadly passage. The ship's hull glowed as it absorbed massive amounts of radiation. Warning alarms sounded throughout the bridge, but the crew ignored them. They had been through worse during their training on Earth. Behind them, the hegemony ships stopped at the entrance to the passage. We cannot follow, came the frustrated voice. The radiation levels are lethal. Not to us, Jake said. We're humans. We're already adapted to survive in places that would kill you. The passage opened into clear space on the other side of the asteroid field. The Velethan ship was glowing with health, its hull stronger than it had been in months. Course plotted for the target system, Ben reported. The hegemony ships can't follow us through the passage. How long until we reach the safe system? Jake asked. 18 hours at current speed. Jake sat back in his chair. Good. Amy, keep monitoring our passengers. Lisa, make sure both ships are ready for the final approach. Captain, Amy said quietly, what we just did was incredible. We saved an entire species by doing things that would have killed most other aliens. That's what humans do, Jake said. We survive where others can't. And we help people who need it, even if it's dangerous. Ben turned from his navigation console. Captain, I'm getting a message from the Velethans. They want to thank us. Tell them we're not done yet. We still have to get them safely to their new home. They have something else to say? Ben continued. They want to know why we're helping them when no other species would. Jake thought about the question. Tell them it's because we understand what it's like to be different. We come from a world that most aliens think is too dangerous to visit. We know what it feels like to be seen as a threat just because of where we come from. And tell them that sometimes the things that make you different are the same things that make you strong. The UN's horizon was only 6 hours away from the target system when the real trouble began. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the stars ahead, when Ben Carter suddenly sat up straight at his console. Captain, we've got a problem. A big one. Jake walked over to look at Ben's screen. What is it? A hegemony battle fleet just appeared at the edge of the target system. 24 ships, including 3 heavy cruisers. They're blocking our path. Dr. Amy Watson looked up from her medical station. How did they get there so fast? They took a different route, Ben said. While we were fighting our way through the asteroid field, they went around it. They beat us here. Jake felt his stomach tighten. What do they want? The answer came as a transmission from the hegemony fleet. Captain Morrison, this is Fleet. Commander Zefka, you have committed serious crimes against galactic law. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. Jake opened the channel. Commander, we're on a rescue mission. We're trying to save a dying species. You are transporting a biological weapon, the alien commander replied. The Velethans are a contamination risk to all civilized worlds. We cannot allow them to establish a colony. They're not a weapon. They're refugees. And this system is uninhabited. They won't hurt anyone. You do not understand the danger, Commander Zefka said. Velethan biology is unpredictable. They could mutate, spread, or contaminate other systems. This is why they must be eliminated. Lisa Rodriguez looked up from her engineering station. Captain, their fleet is moving to surround us. If we try to run, they'll destroy us before we can escape. Jake studied the tactical display. 24 enemy ships against 1 human vessel and 1 damaged alien ship. The odds were impossible. Amy, what's the status of the Velethans? He asked. They're stable, but scared. They understand what the hegemony is saying. They know they're about to be killed. Jake made a decision that would have seemed crazy to most species in the galaxy. Ben, take us directly toward the hegemony fleet. Captain? Ben said, sure, he had heard wrong. You heard me. Full speed toward their battle line. That's suicide, Jake, Lisa said. No, it's not. Lisa, I need you to do something that's going to sound insane. Can you overload our reactor and create a radiation burst? Lisa's eyes went wide. You want me to turn our ship into a radiation bomb? Not a bomb. A beacon. How much radiation can you generate without actually destroying the ship? Enough to kill every crew member on those hegemony ships if they get too close, Lisa said. But it will kill us too. Will it kill the Velethans? Amy checked her readings. No, that level of radiation would actually make them stronger. And us? Jake asked. We'll be sick for a few days, but we'll survive, Amy said. Humans are tougher than most species when it comes to radiation. Jake nodded. Do it, Lisa. Ben, take us right into the middle of their fleet. Captain Morrison, came the voice of Commander Zefka. You are approaching our battle line. This is your last warning. Commander, this is my warning to you. We're about to do something that will kill everyone in your fleet if you don't back off. You have one ship against 24. You cannot threaten us. Jake smiled. Want to bet? The Horizon charged toward the hegemony fleet, its reactor building to dangerous levels. Lisa's fingers flew over her controls, pushing the ship's power system far beyond safe limits. Radiation levels climbing, she reported. We're going to be putting out enough energy to cook anything within 1,000 kilometers. The hegemony ships began to scatter as they detected the rising radiation levels, but they were not fast enough. The Horizon flew right into the middle of their formation, and Lisa released the energy burst. Space around the human ship exploded with invisible radiation. The hegemony vessels, designed for safety and comfort, had no protection against such massive energy levels. Their crews began collapsing as the radiation penetrated their ships' hulls. Emergency retreat, came panicked voices from the alien fleet. All ships withdraw immediately. But the Horizon was not done. Jake ordered Ben to pursue the retreating ships, keeping them bathed in deadly radiation. Captain, their crews are dying, Amy reported, monitoring the hegemony ships. Good. Maybe now they'll understand what it means to face a species from a death world. The hegemony ships fled toward the edge of the system, leaving the path to the target world clear. But Commander Zefka was not finished. This is not over. Human, we will return with more ships. We will bring weapons that can destroy you from a safe distance. Jake opened a channel to the entire hegemony fleet. Commander, before you come back, you should know something about the species you're trying to kill. What? Amy, tell them what you've learned about Velethan biology. Dr. Watson activated her console. The Velethans are not a contamination risk. They're actually beneficial to other species. Their biology can neutralize toxic compounds and clean up environmental damage. That's impossible, Commander Zefka said. It's true, Amy continued. We've been studying them for days. They don't spread disease or contamination. They absorb. They can actually make dead planets livable again. Jake took over the transmission. Commander, what you're trying to destroy is the galaxy's greatest hope for cleaning up the mess that industrial civilization has made. The Velethans can restore dead worlds and neutralize pollution. We cannot take that risk, the commander replied, but his voice was less certain now. Then let me show you, Jake said. Amy, transmit all our medical data on the Velethans to their fleet. Show them what we've learned. The data burst went out to every ship in the hegemony fleet. For several minutes, there was silence as the alien crews studied the information. Finally, Commander Zefka spoke again. This data, if it is accurate, changes everything. It's accurate, Jake said. We've tested it thoroughly. The Velethans are not a threat. They're a solution. But the risks are minimal compared to the benefits. Commander, how many dead worlds does the hegemony have? How many systems have been abandoned because of industrial pollution or cosmic disasters? There was a long pause. Too many to count. The Velethans can fix that. They can make those worlds livable again. All they need is a chance. Jake waited, watching the tactical display. The hegemony ships had stopped retreating and were holding position at the edge of the system. Captain Morrison, Commander Zefka said finally, we will allow the Velethans to proceed to their target world, but we will be monitoring the situation closely. That's all we ask, Jake said. Just give them a chance to prove they're not a threat. The hegemony fleet moved away, leaving the path clear. The Horizon and the Velethan ship continued toward the toxic world that would become the aliens' new home. Captain, Amy said, I'm getting readings from the target planet. It's even more perfect for them than we thought. The atmosphere is full of the heavy metals and radiation they need to survive. And for us? Jake asked. We'll need environmental suits if we go down to the surface. The air would kill most species in minutes. But not the Velethans, Jake said. No. For them, it's paradise. Ben turned from his navigation console. Captain, the Velethans are sending us a message. They want to know what they can do to repay us. Jake thought about the question. Tell them they can help us clean up some of the galaxy's dead worlds. There's a lot of work to do. They're saying they would be honored to work with humans. They think we're the first species to understand that being different can be a strength. Jake smiled. Tell them we're just getting started. 6 months later, Captain Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of the new orbital station above the Velethan colony world. Through the thick protective glass, he could see the planet below. What had once been a dead, toxic world was now glowing with life. Hard to believe, isn't it? Said Lisa Rodriguez, joining him at the viewing window. 6 months ago, this place was considered uninhabitable by everyone in the galaxy. Jake nodded. Now look at it. The Velethans have cleaned up the atmosphere, neutralized the worst of the radiation, and created an environment that could support dozens of different species. Dr. Amy Watson approached with a datapad in her hands. Jake, you need to see the latest reports from the Galactic Council. The Velethans have received formal recognition as a beneficial species. 3 more civilizations have requested their help with environmental restoration projects. How many dead worlds are we talking about? Jake asked. 47 systems that were abandoned due to pollution or cosmic disasters. The Velethans can make them livable again. Ben Carter's voice came over the station's communication system. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command. They want to speak with you. Jake made his way to the command center, where Ben had set up the long-range communication array. The face of Admiral Sarah Blake appeared on the screen, smiling broadly. Captain Morrison, I wanted to personally congratulate you and your crew. What you've accomplished here has changed the entire galaxy's understanding of environmental restoration. Thank you, Admiral. But we couldn't have done it without the Velethans. They're the ones doing the real work. That's exactly why I'm calling, Admiral Blake said. The Galactic Council has proposed a new initiative. They want to create joint human Velethan exploration teams to map and restore dead systems throughout the galaxy. Jake felt excitement building in his chest. What kind of teams? Ships like yours, crewed by humans who can handle dangerous environments, working alongside Velethan bioships that can process and clean up toxic conditions. You'd be exploring regions of space that other species consider too dangerous to approach. Sounds like exactly the kind of work we're good at, Jake said. Admiral Blake nodded. The Council has designated you as the commander of the first joint expedition. Your mission will be to survey the Broken Spiral, a region where an ancient war left. Dozens of systems contaminated with weapons that still kill anyone who gets too close. Lisa whistled softly. The Broken Spiral. Most species won't even fly through that region. Which is why they need us, Jake said. Admiral, when do we start? The new ships are being built now. Hybrid designs that combine human durability with Velethan biotechnology. You'll have the first one ready in 3 months. After the transmission ended, Jake and his crew gathered on the observation deck. Through the window, they could see Velethan ships moving gracefully through the planet's atmosphere, their crystal hulls glowing as they absorbed and processed pollutants. It's amazing, Amy said. When we first found them, they were dying refugees that no one would help. Now they're the galaxy's most valuable environmental specialists. And we're their partners, Ben added. The only species that can work alongside them in the most dangerous places in space. Jake watched a new Velethan bioship rise from the planet's surface. Its hull was different from the ship they had first rescued. This one was stronger, designed for long journeys through hostile space. Parts of it gleamed with human materials that had been grown into its living structure. "Captain," came a familiar voice through the station speakers. It was Rhythm of Growing Crystal, the Velithan leader they had rescued. The aliens had learned to speak human languages, though they still preferred their musical names. "We have received word from the scouts we sent to the Poison Nebula." "What did they find?" Jake asked. 3 dead systems that can be restored. Worlds that were killed by industrial accidents centuries ago. The other species wrote them off as permanently lost. "But not to you," Jake said. "Not to us, and not to our human partners. Together, we can bring these worlds back to life." Lisa looked at the data coming in from the scout ships. "Captain, these systems aren't just dead. They're actively hostile. Radiation levels that would kill most species in hours. Atmospheric conditions that would dissolve standard ship hulls, and gravitational anomalies that make navigation nearly impossible. In other words," Jake said with a grin, "perfect for us." Amy laughed. "Only humans would consider a suicide mission to be a fun challenge." "That's not quite right," Jake said. "We're not the only ones. The Velithans are just as crazy as we are. They want to go to places that would kill them just to help other species." Ben pulled up a star map showing the galaxy. "Look at this. Red dots are dead systems that no one can restore. Yellow dots are systems that are dangerous, but might be salvageable. Green dots are the systems we've already fixed working together." The map showed dozens of red dots scattered across the galaxy, with a growing cluster of green dots around the Velithan colony world. "In just 6 months, we've restored 12 systems," Ben continued. "At this rate, we could clean up half the galaxy's dead zones in 50 years. "More than that," Amy said, studying the biological data from their recent projects. "The Velithans are getting better at this. They're learning to work faster and handle more complex contamination. And we're learning how to support them in even more dangerous environments." Jake looked around at his crew. Amy, who had figured out how to communicate with aliens so different that most species considered them impossible to understand. Lisa, who had learned to build technology that combined human engineering with living alien biosystems. Ben, who could navigate through regions of space that other pilots considered certain death. "You know what I think?" Jake said. "I think we're just getting started. The galaxy is full of places that other species can't go, and problems that other species can't solve. That's where we come in. The Deathworlders and the fragile aliens," Lisa said with a smile. "Who would have thought that would be the galaxy's best cleanup crew?" A new transmission came in from the planet below. It was a group of alien representatives who had come to see the restoration work for themselves. The message was addressed to Captain Morrison. "Captain, this is Ambassador Vel 9 of the Centauri Alliance. We have been observing your work here for the past month. We would like to formally request human Velithan assistance with a problem in our home system." Jake opened a channel. "What kind of problem, Ambassador?" "Our industrial moon was destroyed in an accident 50 years ago. The debris field is still expanding, threatening to contaminate our entire system with toxic metals and radiation. Our scientists say it cannot be cleaned up." "Can't be cleaned up by your technology," Jake corrected. "Send us the data. We'll see what we can do." After the transmission ended, Rhythm of Growing Crystal contacted them again. "Captain Jake, my people have a question for you." "What's that?" "Why do humans help us? Your species gains little from this partnership. You could explore the galaxy on your own, claim worlds for yourselves, build an empire. Instead, you help us save others." Jake thought about the question. It was one he had been asking himself for months. "I think it's because we understand what it's like to be different," he said finally. "Earth is a dangerous world that produces dangerous people. Most of the galaxy sees us as barely civilized barbarians who are too violent and too reckless to be trusted. But that is not true, Rhythm of Growing Crystal said. No, it's not. We're not violent because we like violence. We're tough because we had to be. We take risks because sometimes taking risks is the only way to help people. And we don't give up on people just because they're different from us. Like us, the alien said. Like you. When we found you, every other species in the galaxy had written you off as too dangerous or too difficult to help. But we looked at you and saw people who needed rescue. That's all that mattered. Jake looked out at the restored world below, where Velithan bioships were working alongside human vessels to terraform new continents. Besides, he added, you're not the fragile ones anymore. You're some of the strongest people in the galaxy. You can survive in places that would kill anyone else, and you can fix problems that no one else can solve. You just needed someone to give you a chance. And now we're partners. The galaxy's cleanup crew. The team that goes to the places no one else can go and fixes the problems no one else can fix. 3 months later, the UNS Horizon 2 launched from the orbital station. It was unlike any ship that had ever been built. The hull was a hybrid of human metal and Velithan biocrystal. The engines were human-designed, but powered by Velithan energy absorption systems. The life support could handle both human and Velithan crews in the same environment. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his new ship, looking out at the stars ahead. His crew was the same, but now they were joined by Velithan partners, who had learned to work in human-style environments. Course plotted for the Broken Spiral, Ben reported. Estimated travel time, 2 weeks. Velithan biosystems are ready, reported Harmony of Distant Stars, a Velithan navigator who had joined the crew. We can process any contamination we encounter. Human systems are green across the board, Lisa said. We're ready for whatever we find out there. Medical Bay is prepared for both human and